We are surrounded by AI, right? It's everywhere. We see these incredible things it can do, generating art, writing code, even making entire videos. And honestly, it feels like magic. But behind that digital curtain, there's one of the most expensive technological bets in all of human history being placed. So today, we're going to peel that curtain back and look at the staggering and often hidden costs that are fueling this whole revolution. And I'm telling you, the numbers, they're bigger than you can possibly imagine.
So let's just start with a prediction that will stop you right in your tracks. And this isn't coming from some skeptic, okay? This is from Dario Amodei, the CEO of Anthropic, one of OpenAI's biggest competitors. And listen, he's not talking about the value of a company here. No, he's talking about the cost to train a single next-generation AI model.
Just look at that number, $100 billion. Let that sink in. I mean, that's a figure you usually hear when people talk about the GDP of a small country or, a mission to Mars.
And yet, industry leaders are predicting this could very soon be the price tag for creating just one single frontier AI system. It sounds completely impossible. But to get how we got here, you have to understand that this isn't about one company building one thing. Oh no, this is an arms race.
Yeah, this is a full-blown technological arms race. You've got the biggest names in tech. We're talking Google, Meta, Microsoft, OpenAI, and they are all locked in this frantic battle for AI supremacy. And the cost just to play the game is exploding, following a path that is just almost unbelievable. And the escalation, it is absolutely staggering. Just look at this trend. You go back to 2020, and GPT-3 cost just under $5 million, which, by the way, seemed like a ton of money back then. Fast forward to 2024, and Google's Gemini Ultra reportedly cost nearly $200 million. We're not just seeing an increase here, this is an explosion. The projections are going vertical, on track to cross the billion-dollar mark for a single training run in just a few years. So what on earth is driving this insane exponential curve?
Well, the answer comes down to something called scaling laws. See, in the normal software world, if you want to make a better app, you hire smarter engineers and they write better code. But with these huge AI models, that's not really how it works. The scaling laws basically say that to make a model just a tiny bit smarter, you have to throw exponentially more data, and this is the key, more computing power at it. It's a brute force equation, and it is fundamentally incredibly expensive.
But here's the thing that most people totally miss. That eye-watering nine-figure training cost, that's just the down payment. It's just the beginning. The true cost of operating at the frontier of AI involves a whole other set of massive, ongoing expenses that never, ever make the headlines.
Now, GPU compute power is without a doubt the biggest slice of the pie here, taking up around 65%. But look at everything else that's involved. 15% of the cost goes to just preparing the insane amounts of data needed. 12% goes to paying the million-dollar salaries for the top AI researchers, and another 8% goes to the physical infrastructure, things like high-speed networking and massive cooling systems. It all adds up, and it adds up fast.
And the hardware itself is just a brutal investment. Think about it. A normal company might buy a fleet of trucks that can last for 20 years. But in AI, a state-of-the-art supercomputer cluster built with tens of thousands of GPUs becomes pretty much outdated in as little as 18 months. What that means is that billions of dollars in hardware isn't a long-term asset. It's an operational expense that basically vanishes almost as soon as you spend it.
But even if you could somehow afford all the chips, you might not be able to afford the electricity bill to actually run them.
Just to get a sense of the scale we're talking about, look at Project Stargate. This is the planned supercomputer from Microsoft and OpenAI. The price tag is another staggering $100 billion. But the truly mind-bending number is its power requirement, up to 10 gigawatts. That is enough electricity to power millions of homes. It's so much power that the project is going to need its own dedicated energy sources. And they're looking at multiple nuclear reactors just to keep the thing running. Okay, so this brings us to the trillion-dollar question, right? With these absolutely astronomical costs for hardware, for electricity, for talent, how are these companies supposed to actually make any money? I mean, is this a sustainable business, or is it just a giant cash incinerator?
Well, let's take a look at OpenAI. Thanks to Microsoft's financial reporting, we can get an idea of their burn rate. In just one quarter, the third quarter of 2025, OpenAI is projected to lose an estimated $15.2 billion. That is a net loss more than 4 times greater than its revenue for that same period.
So how are they even still operating? Well, it comes down to their deal with Microsoft, which is kind of a financial optical illusion.
See, Microsoft invests billions, but a huge chunk of that isn't actual cash, it's cloud credits. OpenAI is then forced to spend those credits on Microsoft's own Azure servers to train its models. So the money basically goes in a circle. It boosts Microsoft's cloud revenue, but it leaves OpenAI with a critical shortage of hard cash to pay their researchers and cover all their other bills. It's a clever system for sure, but a very precarious one for OpenAI.
And hey, you don't even have to take it from analysts. This is a direct quote from an OpenAI executive, the guy in charge of their new video generator, Sora. The computational cost of making these videos is so insanely high that the product, as it stands, is a massive money loser. So the crucial point here is, even internally, they know the math just doesn't add up yet.
But hold on, because this is where the story gets really, really interesting. This trillion-dollar arms race at the very top, it isn't the whole story. There is a completely different path emerging in the world of AI, one that isn't about brute force, but about efficiency and accessibility. And it's a direct challenge to this idea that bigger is always better.
Just look at this difference. While a massive frontier model costs hundreds of millions, you can train a small, specialized 1 billion parameter model, and you can think of parameters as like the knobs the AI uses to learn. You can train that from scratch for as little as a few $1,000s. A really capable 70 billion parameter model? Okay, a few million. Still a lot of money, but a world away from the financial black holes we see at the frontier.
And this is the real game changer. You don't have to build from scratch anymore. By taking a powerful, pre-trained open-source model and just fine-tuning it on your own specific data, the costs absolutely plummet. We're talking about reducing the cost by over 99%, from tens of thousands of dollars to just a few hundred. This is the movement that is truly democratizing AI, putting incredible power into the hands of smaller companies and even individuals.
And this isn't just a theory. The Chinese company DeepSeek proved that smarter can be better than bigger. They trained a highly competitive model for under $300,000. And they didn't do it by brute force spending, but by using really clever techniques and efficiency optimizations. It just goes to show you there's another way, a path that's focused on ingenuity over raw financial power.
So what we have are these two narratives that are colliding. At the very top, you have this potentially unsustainable race to build a godlike AI, burning billions of dollars every single month. And then, below it, there's this quiet revolution of efficient, accessible AI that could be far more practical and, ultimately, way more profitable.
For the big frontier companies like OpenAI, this creates an incredibly high-stakes dilemma. Their users have basically no loyalty. They'll switch to a cheaper alternative in a heartbeat. And then you have these free, powerful models from giants like Meta that put a hard ceiling on what companies like OpenAI can possibly charge. So their entire business model is now this desperate race against time. They have to achieve artificial general intelligence, a truly world-changing technology, before their bank accounts run dry. It's a huge gamble.
Which leaves us with the final question. Is this colossal, trillion-dollar spending spree the engine that is going to build our future? Or is it fueling one of the biggest financial bubbles in history, one that's destined to collapse under the weight of its own impossible costs? The next few years will tell us if this incredible gamble pays off or if it leads directly into a financial abyss.